Hello and welcome to Life According to Dana. Good to see you guys again. Hope all is well. Pray you had a good time during your holiday season and that the Lord is continuing to bless you. Today I was kind of pondering what to really talk to you guys about, and it's just this thought that keeps rolling through my mind. And it's about what we confess. What do we spend the majority of our time talking about? What are we putting out in the atmosphere? What are we struggling with? And what are we spending the majority of our time talking about? And it really has stuck so true in my mind that we spend a lot of time talking about what's wrong instead of talking about the solution. And the solution or the answer or the one that really decides our destiny and our fate is God. And we spend so much time, even in prayer, talking to God about what's wrong instead of spending the time maybe listening or paying more attention on what his response is to the issues that we're facing. And I know for myself, that's something I kind of had to learn almost on the fly, because it wasn't like somebody was out talking about it or saying that maybe we're majoring on the minor and minoring on the major, as I often say. But a lot of times, we talk to our friends, we talk to our family, we talk about the issues. And right now in the world, we have so many things going on that are stressing people out, that are causing them to worry, that are causing us to pause or pay particular attention to the negative things that's out there instead of focusing on the one that put the earth in motion, the one that allows us to take our initial breath every morning, and or giving him the glory or giving him the praise for the things that he's done or that he's doing in our lives. And a lot of times I know that's a symptom of doubt or fear. And a lot of times, because we don't know the total outcome, it causes anxiety or it causes fear or it causes us to doubt. And we spend more time talking about those things than we do just trusting God, actually believing that God is capable of doing all things but failing, believing that God is our sustainer, believing that God is the all sufficient one, believing that God that we just celebrated for sending his son Jesus to be crucified for our sins, the one that we just celebrated this resurrection season, Easter season, whatever you call it. But we just got finished celebrating this great triumphant thing that happened in our walk. But then it's almost like as soon as the day is over, we go back to worrying. Like nothing in that whole scenario was connected to victorious life, that the cross represents a victorious life, that we don't have to worry. It wasn't just about reconciliation of sin, but it was also reconciliation to the Father. That relationship was reestablished, that relationship was solidified, that we could come boldly to the throne of grace with our issues, that we could lay them at his feet. We could trust him with our distress. We could trust him with our drama. We could trust him even with our fear. We could trust him with our uh anxiety. We could trust him with the things that we don't understand. We could take those things. We could actually go to the Father with these things because what Jesus did on the cross. And a lot of times I just think it's like almost like a distant thought. We spend so much time worrying, so much time talking about all the issues, all the things is wrong, blaming this person, blaming that person, or what's this gonna happen? And this just don't make no sense that this is this way. And we spend so much time focusing on the negative, and then we wonder why we're depressed. We wonder why we're filled with anxiousness, with anxiety. It's because we have the wrong focus. Did a whole podcast before on wrong focus, but here we are again talking about these same issues because they are real life issues. This video cast, whatever you want to call it, is called Life According to Dana. And we are having real life issues that we talk about here because somebody has to say, well, but what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what do I do with this anger? Or what do I do with this unforgiveness? What do I do with this anxiety? What do I do with all these range of emotions that I'm experiencing? I'm not saying that these things aren't going to come and that your feelings aren't legitimate or they're not real. What I'm saying is shift your focus over to the solution. Shift your focus to the one that can give you peace that surpasses your understanding. Understand what that means. That means you're going to be in the midst of a chaotic situation, but you're going to sail through it without care, without worry. And when you feel yourself getting anxious, you can say, you know what? You have the right to speak to your situation. Let's get that straight. You actually have the right to speak directly to your situation that you're in the midst of. You have the God-given right to say, you know what, Satan, get behind me. Jesus had to rebuke the disciples, the ones that he had walked with. He had to say, you know what, get behind me, Satan, because he was trying to tempt him away from the thing that he was supposed to be accomplishing. That is one of the enemy's tactics, to tempt you away from the thing that you're trying to accomplish, to just distract you, to cause you to lose focus, to not be just one-minded as to moving forward into your destiny, into who you are, into what you're supposed to be accomplishing. You ever notice, like when we were in the world, and I always say this in Bible study, when we was out partying, having a good old time, the devil wasn't messing with you. He could have cared less. And we were out there all willy-nilly in the club, didn't care if the sound system was good, didn't care, if this was right or that was right. But then for some reason, when you come to church, you're complaining about everything. Oh, the sound system, I couldn't hear. And let me just do this little sidebar on the worship team. Could you turn my mic up in the monitors? I can't hear myself. But when you were out in the club, none of this mattered. And it's like we have this muted, or I'm going to say distorted view of what this Christian walk, or what this walk period, is supposed to be like. And it's like we're focusing on the wrong things, and we're exhausting ourselves by focusing on the wrong things. If the devil tried to tempt Jesus, what makes you think he's not going to try to tempt you? What makes you think that he's not going to distract you or pull your focus, pull your attention away from the very thing that you're supposed to be focusing on? Because once you lose focus, you lose momentum. So let's refocus. Let's reset. Let's talk about what's going to bring a resolve to the situation instead of talking about the situation. Let's just take some time to I'm going to say, to refocus how we process things, maybe, because a lot of times we get so overwhelmed by what we're going through, it becomes almost like our mantra. So we're always confessing the problem. And as we confess the problem, that's what's going into our ears. That's all we hear. We don't hear anything but the problem. Every time you explain the problem to someone, that's all you're hearing. You're never hearing the solution. That's why it's so important to confess the word of God over the things that you're going through in life. That's why it's so important to have that relationship, to have that dialogue with the Lord, to have that ability to communicate with him, to be able to come into his presence and shut off the things that are stressing you out. When you walk into your prayer closet, when you walk into the presence of God, you are not supposed to come out the same. He said, in his presence, there is fullness of joy. If there's fullness of joy, there is not room for all this other cray cray that you're trying to bring up in here or that you're trying to walk out of here with. Leave it. See, this is one of women are guilty of this. Y'all might get mad, but it's the truth anyway. We are fixers and we like to try to fix stuff. We like to try and fix people. We try to fix our children. We try to fix our spouses, our significant others. And we just think for some reason, the God of the universe that slung the stars into the sky, that keeps the earth rotating, needs our help fixing a problem. Why we feel that way? I don't know, but we do. So let's take our hands off what we call ourselves giving to the Lord. If we're giving something over to God, then let's leave it there. Let's take it to his feet, lay it there, walk away and leave it there. Because when you're saying that you trust God or that your confidence is in God, that means you're surrendering this thing to him and you are trusting him to take care of it. Always remember this: God always has your best in mind. His word says that his plans are for you to his plans towards you, are to prosper you and not to harm you. He's not sitting around behind some bush with a bat waiting to pop you upside the head every time you do something wrong. That's the great thing about grace and mercy. God is such a loving father. He is such a all-knowing father, and he has a master plan for your life. Now, what we have to do is lock into that plan. What we need to do is stop talking. Stop confessing what is wrong and start going to God and get the strategy to resolve the issue. And if the strategy or the answer is be still and know that I am God, do that. Follow that instruction. The military taught us to follow our last instruction, so I'm going to just follow that. If God tells me, trust me with your situation, that's what I'm going to do. God has proven this, you all, to me so many times in my life that he is just better at resolving my issues than I am. When I go out picking stuff for myself, picking people for myself, it always, let me help you, always ended in disaster. So I just got to a place now where I'm going to just say, okay, now I'm just a bad judge of character in certain situations. So I'm going to just trust God. I am going to trust God with this situation, and I am going to walk away slowly, and I am not going to interfere with whatever God's solution is. And please, again, I'm going to say this to you: do not mistake God's silence for him not being concerned, because sometimes we just have to trust him in his silence, but ultimately you just have to trust him that he is going to make this work for your good. Be encouraged. Know that God is for you, but please be careful what you confess, what you are allowing to come out of your mouth. Be careful. Confess who God is, and you won't go wrong. Confess what the word says about your situation, and you will not go off. Get in your word. Look up the scriptures that concern the issues you are facing and allow yourself to hear those words. Allow yourself to hear that greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. I am more than a conqueror. Let yourself hear. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. Let your confessions be about who God is in every situation and watch how God is going to shift your perspective. See, a lot of times we ask God to change people when what God is really after is to change us and how we're viewing and dealing with the situation. So allow God to perfect you. Allow God to work in your life. Allow God to make you the glorious person that he desires you to be. See, God sees us finished and he's trying to get us there. So allow God to be God. Allow him to be Lord in every situation of your life, and you will not go wrong. I'm going to stop right here because I know I gave you a lot to process and a lot to think about. But you know what? God is a faithful God and he will help you. Just give it to him. Allow him to teach you his ways. Allow him to work in you so he can pour through you. Allow him to work things in and out of you that are of no use and of no good for you or the kingdom. Allow God to mold you into that perfect vessel that he's trying to perfect you into being. Allow God to push you into your destiny. Trust his hands and watch your confessions. I hope this blessed you, and I pray that you join me next time here on Life According to Dana. Be encouraged. Be blessed. Love you. Take care.